everyone, Elizabeth here. The Last Laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless if you're here for it. Hit subscribe and let's go.
I stared at my father's text message on my phone screen, reading it for the third time. The words hadn't changed. Traditional family only. Best you make other plans. This wasn't an oversight. This wasn't a miscommunication. This was a deliberate exclusion from Thanksgiving dinner, the first major holiday since Grandma Rosa passed away 6 months ago. My sister Vanessa's follow-up text appeared seconds later. Dad's business partners are coming. You understand. The implication was clear. I would embarrass them. I wasn't successful enough. I wasn't impressive enough. I didn't fit the image they wanted to project. I set my phone down on my small apartment kitchen counter and looked around at my modest one-bedroom space in Tempe, Arizona. To my family, this apartment was proof of my failure. They didn't know that I chose this location deliberately. They didn't know that this struggling artist lifestyle, as my mother called it, was completely strategic. They had no idea what Grandma Rosa and I had been building together for the past 7 years. Growing up as the youngest of 3 children in the Rivera family meant living in the shadow of my older siblings' accomplishments. My brother Marcus was the golden child, Stanford MBA, now a partner at Dad's commercial real estate development firm. My sister Vanessa married a cardiac surgeon and lived in a 6,000-square-foot house in Scottsdale. Then there was me, Sylvia, the creative one, the dreamer. The one who chose art school over business school, who lived in a small apartment, who drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic while my siblings drove luxury SUVs. What my family saw as failure was actually protection. I learned early that success in the Rivera family came with strings attached. When Marcus got his first big promotion, Dad immediately leveraged it to expand his business contacts. When Vanessa married Dr. Richard Chin, Mom used every social event to climb Scottsdale's social ladder. Success wasn't celebrated, it was exploited. So when Grandma Rosa called me to her house one evening in 2017, I knew something was different. She was my father's mother, a shrewd woman who had built a small real estate empire in Arizona starting in the 1970s. While Dad focused on flashy commercial developments, Grandma Rosa quietly accumulated residential rental properties across Phoenix, Tempe, and Tucson. Sophia, she said, pouring us both tea in her kitchen. Your father thinks I'm a foolish old woman sitting on underperforming assets. Your brother has been pressuring me to sell everything so he can maximize returns for the family. I stayed quiet, listening. But I see what they don't, she continued. I see that you're the only one who visits me because you want to, not because you need something. You understand the difference between building wealth and chasing status. That night, Grandma Rosa made me a proposal. She would teach me real estate investment. Not the flashy commercial developments my father and brother pursued, but the steady, reliable income of residential rentals. In exchange, I would help her manage the properties while she was still alive, and eventually we would formalize a succession plan. Your father doesn't need my properties, she said. He makes enough from his business. Marcus wants them to flip and profit. But you would preserve what I built. You would understand that this is about legacy, not just money. Over the next 3 years, I became Grandma Rosa's unofficial property manager. I learned tenant relations, maintenance coordination, cash flow analysis, and market timing. I helped her purchase 3 additional properties when the market dipped in 2018. By 2020, her portfolio had grown to 10 properties across Arizona, a mix of single-family homes and small multifamily units that generated steady monthly income. My family had no idea. To them, I was still artistic Sophia, who sometimes helped Grandma with errands. They didn't know I was analyzing profit and loss statements. They didn't know I was handling tenant screenings. They didn't know I was learning everything. In January 2020, Grandma Rosa called me to her attorney's office. David Martinez had been her lawyer for 30 years, handling all her property acquisitions and estate planning. Sophia, Mr. Martinez said, sliding documents across his desk. Your grandmother wants to execute an irrevocable trust transfer of all 10 properties to you, effective immediately. I looked at Grandma Rosa in shock. But you're healthy. You could manage these for another 20 years. She smiled. I'm 82 years old, Mija. I'm healthy now, but I want to make decisions while I'm still sharp. This protects you and protects what I've built. If these properties stay in my name until I die, your father will contest any will I make. Marcus will pressure the courts. But if I transfer them now while I'm clearly of sound mind with proper documentation and witnesses, there's nothing they can fight. The properties become yours. Legally, completely, irrevocably yours. The 10 properties had a combined value of approximately $3.7 million at 2020 market rates. They generated roughly $18,500 per month in rental income after expenses, $222,000 annually. I was 28 years old and I had just become a multimillionaire. There's one condition, Grandma Rosa said. You don't tell your father or your siblings. Not yet. Let them continue thinking you're their poor struggling artist. Let them show you who they really are. I signed the documents. Mr. Martinez filed them with the county. The trust was established with Grandma Rosa as trustee during her lifetime, automatically transferring full control to me upon her death. But the ownership was already mine. Legally documented. Notarized. Recorded. Grandma Rosa lived another 4 years. During that time I managed the properties under her name to avoid suspicion. The portfolio grew to $4.1 million in value by 2024. Monthly income increased to $21,300. My family still saw me as a failure. When Grandma Rosa passed away in May 2024, the funeral was the first time my family showed any interest in her assets. Marcus arrived with a leather portfolio. Vanessa brought her husband for legal consultation. Dad immediately began talking about properly liquidating Mother's estate. Nobody asked me how I was handling her death. They were too busy calculating their inheritance. At the will reading 3 weeks after the funeral, Mr. Martinez calmly explained that Grandma Rosa's personal effects would be distributed according to her wishes, but that her real estate portfolio had been transferred to an irrevocable trust in 2020. Transferred to whom? Dad demanded. That information will be provided to the trust beneficiary, Mr. Martinez said diplomatically. Marcus exploded. This is absurd. Mother was clearly manipulated. We'll contest this. You're welcome to try, Mr. Martinez replied. But the transfer occurred 4 years ago when she was in perfect health. No court will overturn it. They left furious. I said nothing. For the next 6 months they searched for answers. They hired investigators. They contacted property management companies. They filed inquiries with the county recorder's office. They never thought to look at me. After Grandma Rosa's death, I fully stepped into my role as property owner. I worked with Sandra Chin, a professional property manager who had been quietly consulting with me for 2 years. Now that Grandma was gone, I formalized our arrangement. I'm impressed, Sandra said when we met at her office. Most people who inherit property like this either sell immediately or mismanage it within a year. You've been running this portfolio like a seasoned investor. Sandra's firm handled day-to-day operations while I made strategic decisions. We raised rents on 3 properties that had been underpriced. We renovated 2 units that needed updates, increasing their value by $80,000 combined. We sold 1 property that required too much maintenance and used the proceeds to purchase a better located duplex. By November 2024, my portfolio was worth $4.3 million. Monthly net income was $22,800. Annually, I was earning $273,600 in passive rental income. I still lived in my modest 1-bedroom apartment. I still drove my Honda Civic. I still worked part-time at an art gallery, not because I needed the money but because I genuinely enjoyed it. My family's opinion of me hadn't changed. If anything, it had gotten worse. Still playing artist? Marcus asked at a family coffee in September. When are you going to get a real career, Sophia? You're 32. Still renting. Vanessa added. Richard and I just put $100,000 into our kitchen renovation. You really should think about buying property. I smiled politely. I'll think about it. If only they knew I owned more property than both of them combined. The Thanksgiving text arrived on November 15th, exactly 9 days before the holiday. Dad's message was clear. Sophia, this year's Thanksgiving will be a bit different. I'm inviting some business associates and their families. Traditional family only. Best you make other plans. Traditional family. The phrase stung more than he probably intended. I was blood family but apparently not traditional enough. Not successful enough. Not impressive enough. Vanessa's follow-up text twisted the knife. Dad's business partners are coming. You understand? I understood perfectly. They were ashamed of me. I sat in my apartment that evening, looking at my financial statements. My property management account showed $273,600 in annual income. My net worth was approximately $4.8 million. And my family thought I was too embarrassing to invite to Thanksgiving. My phone buzzed. It was Sandra Chin. Sophia, I need to meet with you on Thanksgiving if possible. We have a situation with the Tucson property that requires your immediate decision. The tenants want to purchase the house and they're offering $485,000, well above market value. But they need an answer by Friday. Thanksgiving Day? I asked. I know it's a holiday, but this is time sensitive. Where will you be? I paused. Actually, I don't have plans. Where do you want to meet? The Scottsdale Resort has a beautiful restaurant. We could meet briefly and you can enjoy their Thanksgiving buffet if you'd like. The Scottsdale Resort. The same resort where my father was hosting his impressive family Thanksgiving dinner. I smiled. What time? I spent the week before Thanksgiving gathering documentation. Sandra had sent me the purchase offer for the Tucson property, along with her analysis. The offer was legitimate, a cash buyer waiving inspection quick close. But I also pulled together something else, a complete portfolio summary, property addresses, acquisition dates, current values, monthly income. Everything documented, organized, professional. Never go into a negotiation without documentation, Grandma Rosa used to say. People can dismiss your words. They can't dismiss recorded deeds. On Thanksgiving morning I dressed carefully. Not in my usual casual clothes, but in a tailored navy blazer, cream blouse and professional slacks. I looked like what I was. A successful real estate investor worth nearly $5 million. I drove my old Honda Civic to the Scottsdale Resort, parking among the Mercedes and BMWs. The valet looked at my car with barely concealed disdain but took my keys professionally. The resort was stunning. I walked through the lobby with my leather portfolio looking for Sandra. Sophia. She waved from a seating area near the restaurant. Thank you for meeting on a holiday. We sat down and she walked me through the purchase offer. The numbers were excellent. I signed the acceptance documents and just like that I had agreed to sell a property for $485,000. Congratulations, Sandra said. Now please join us for lunch. The buffet here is incredible. Actually, I said, my family is having dinner here tonight. I wasn't invited but I think I'll stay anyway. Sandra's eyes widened. They're here. My father is hosting Thanksgiving in the private dining room. Business associates, traditional family only. I didn't make the cut. Does your family know about your properties? No. She smiled. This should be interesting. The resort's main restaurant was elegant and crowded with Thanksgiving guests. I was seated near the windows when I saw them. My father walked into the private dining room with 3 couples I didn't recognize. His business partners. My mother followed in an expensive gown. Marcus arrived with his wife. Vanessa and Dr. Richard were last, both dripping in designer labels. They looked happy, successful. Like a perfect family that didn't include me. I was finishing my appetizer when I saw my father step out of the private dining room to take a phone call. He paced near the lobby, gesturing animatedly. Then his face changed. He looked confused, then concerned, then angry. He returned to the private dining room and I could see him talking urgently to Marcus. Both kept glancing at their phones. Sandra appeared at my table. I just got an interesting call. Your father's attorney contacted the county recorder's office. They now have copies of the 2020 trust transfer documents. My heart started pounding. They know. They know the properties were transferred. The documents list the trust name but not the beneficiary. They're trying to figure out who it is. Before I could respond, I heard raised voices from the private dining room. This is absurd. Marcus's voice carried across the restaurant. Someone manipulated her. We need to find out who. My father emerged, his face red. He scanned the restaurant and then he saw me. His expression went from anger to confusion to disgust. I could read his thoughts. Of course Sophia was here. Probably couldn't afford a proper Thanksgiving anywhere else. He walked toward my table. Sophia. What are you doing here? Having Thanksgiving dinner, I said calmly. This is a very expensive restaurant. I didn't realize you could afford it. The buffet is $125 per person. I managed. Marcus appeared behind Dad. Sophia, this isn't a good time. We're having a business dinner. I can see that, I said. Don't worry, I'm not here to embarrass you. Vanessa joined them. Did Dad invite you? I thought we agreed. He didn't invite me, I said. I had a business meeting here. With my property manager. The three of them stared at me. You're what? Marcus said. Before I could answer, Sandra approached our table professionally. Ms. Rivera, she said formally. I'm sorry to interrupt your family time, but I wanted to confirm. We've received the wire transfer for the Tucson property sale. $485,000 exactly as agreed. Congratulations. The silence was deafening. My father's face went pale. Tucson property? What Tucson property? Sandra looked confused. I'm sorry, I assumed. I'm Sandra Chin, professional property manager for the Arizona portfolio. I manage Ms. Rivera's 10 rental properties across Phoenix, Tempe, and Tucson. 10 properties? Marcus practically shouted. Other diners turned to look. Perhaps we should discuss this privately, I said quietly. No. My father's voice was sharp. You tell me right now, Sophia. What properties? I pulled my portfolio from my bag and set it on the table. Grandma Rosa transferred her entire real estate portfolio to me in January 2020 via irrevocable trust. 10 properties. Currently valued at $4.3 million. Generating $273,600 in annual rental income. My mother had appeared now, along with Vanessa's husband. The business partners were peering out from the private dining room. That's impossible, Marcus said. Mother wouldn't, she would never. She did, Sandra interjected. I have all the documentation. Quitclaim deeds. Trust documents. County recordings. All filed in January 2020, when Mrs. Rosa Rivera was in perfect health and completely sound mind. My father snatched my portfolio and opened it. I watched his face as he read through the property list. The addresses. The values. The income statements. His hands were shaking. You've been managing these for 4 years? He whispered. 7 years actually, I said. Grandma Rosa started training me in 2017. We worked together until she passed. She wanted someone who would preserve what she built, not liquidate it for quick profit. Marcus grabbed the portfolio from Dad. This is fraud. You manipulated an elderly woman. I'd be very careful about accusations, Sandra said sharply. Everything was handled by David Martinez, one of Arizona's most respected estate attorneys. Mrs. Rivera was examined by 2 physicians before signing, both confirming her mental competency. Every document was witnessed, notarized, and recorded. This happened when she was 82 and in perfect health, 4 years before she passed away. Vanessa's face had gone from shock to rage. You sneaky you've been lying to us for years. Living in that pathetic apartment, acting like you're poor. I never lied, I said calmly. I just never corrected your assumptions. You let us think you were a failure, she shrieked. No, I said. You decided I was a failure. I just stopped trying to convince you otherwise. My father finally found his voice. Those properties should have been divided among all the children. It's not fair. Fair. I interrupted. You make $400,000 a year from your business. Marcus makes $300,000 as your partner. Vanessa married a surgeon. None of you needed Grandma's properties. She wanted them to go to someone who would appreciate them and continue her legacy. You don't know the first thing about real estate. Marcus shouted. Sandra laughed. Ms. Rivera has been successfully managing a multi-million-dollar portfolio for years. She's made every strategic decision on acquisitions, sales, renovations, and tenant relations. Her ROI has consistently outperformed market averages. She's one of the most competent property investors I've worked with. The restaurant had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. My father looked at me like he'd never seen me before. Why didn't you tell us? Because of this, I said, gesturing at their shocked, angry faces. Because the moment I had something valuable, you would have wanted to control it. Manage it. Take it over. Grandma Rosa knew that. That's why she gave it to me and made me promise not to tell you. We're contesting this, Marcus said. We're filing suit tomorrow. File whatever you want, I said. You'll lose. And you'll spend $100,000 in legal fees to discover what I'm telling you right now. Those properties are mine. Legally, completely, irrevocably mine. Vanessa's husband, who had been silent, cleared his throat. Actually, if the trust was properly executed in 2020 with medical competency documentation, you have almost no chance of overturning it. The 4-year gap between transfer and death defeats any undue influence claim. Vanessa turned on him. Whose side are you on? I'm on the side of legal reality, he said quietly. My father sank into a chair at my table looking defeated. Your grandmother always said you were special. I thought she meant artistic. I didn't realize she meant competent. I finished. Strategic? Business-minded. You're worth more than Marcus, my mother whispered. Yes, I said simply. Sandra's phone buzzed. She looked at it and smiled. Ms. Rivera, I have another update. The duplex we put an offer on last week. It's been accepted. Congratulations on property number 11. My brother started screaming. Actually screaming. This is insane. You're supposed to be the failure. I'm the successful one. I went to Stanford. You went to Stanford on Dad's connections, I said quietly. You work for Dad's company. You've never built anything yourself. I built this portfolio from zero to $4.3 million in 7 years while letting you all think I was pathetic. Why? My father asked. Why hide it? Because poverty gave me something wealth never could. The truth about who you all really are. You dismissed me. Excluded me. Disinvited me from Thanksgiving because I embarrassed you. All while I was quietly building more success than any of you could imagine. I stood up, gathering my portfolio. Enjoy your traditional family Thanksgiving, I said. I'm going to finish my meal. Alone. As I walked away, I heard my mother start crying. My father was shouting at Marcus. The business partners were filing out, clearly uncomfortable. Sandra walked with me back to my table. That was incredible, she whispered. That was necessary, I said. The next 48 hours were chaos. Friday morning my father called 17 times. I didn't answer. Marcus sent a furious email threatening legal action. I forwarded it to David Martinez, who sent a calm response outlining exactly why any lawsuit would fail. Vanessa texted, "You've destroyed this family." I replied, "I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped pretending." But the real consequence came Saturday afternoon when Sandra called. "Sophia, I need to tell you something. Your brother Marcus has been calling property management companies all over Phoenix, demanding access to financial records. Can he do that? No. But in the process he spoke with Johnson Property Management, the company that managed your grandmother's properties before you took over. And they told him something interesting. During the years Marcus was supposedly helping Grandma, they received instructions from someone claiming to be Mrs. Rivera's grandson to redirect rent payments to a different account. My blood went cold. What? Between 2016 and 2019, approximately $127,000 in rental income was diverted to an account that wasn't your grandmother's. When I started managing in 2020, we discovered the discrepancy, but your grandmother asked me not to pursue it. She said family matters should stay private. Marcus stole from Grandma? I can't prove it was him. But the timing matches when he claimed to be helping her. And now that he's making noise about fraud, Johnson Property Management is willing to provide documentation to authorities. I sat down heavily. What do I do? That's up to you. You could file a police report. You could demand repayment. Or you could do what your grandmother did. Let it go. I thought about Grandma Rosa. About how she never mentioned this theft. About how she transferred properties worth millions to me while knowing Marcus had stolen from her. She protected me by giving me everything. Forward me everything, I said. I won't file charges. But I want Marcus to know that I know. Monday morning I sent Marcus a single email. Johnson Property Management has records of $127,000 in diverted rental income between 2016 to 2019. Grandma knew. She never reported it because she loved you anyway. She gave me the properties because she knew I would never steal from her. If you pursue legal action against me, I will provide these documents to the police and to Dad. Your choice. Marcus didn't respond. The threatened lawsuit never materialized. 3 weeks later my father called. Sophia, he said quietly. Can we talk? In person. We met at a coffee shop in Tempe. He looked older. Tired. I was wrong, he said. About you. About what success looks like. I spent your whole life thinking you needed my help, my guidance. I thought you were wasting your potential. Dad. Let me finish, he interrupted. Your grandmother saw what I didn't. She saw that you were building something real. Something sustainable. Something that didn't require showing off. She taught me that wealth is quiet, I said softly. She tried to teach me that too, Dad said. I didn't listen. Marcus learned from me. All flash, no foundation. We sat in silence. Can you forgive us? He asked. I thought about Grandma Rosa. About how she loved her son despite his flaws. About how she taught me that family was complicated and imperfect. I can try, I said. But things are different now. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not pretending to be less than I am to make you comfortable. I understand, he said. And I'm proud of you. I should have said that a long time ago. We didn't hug. We didn't have a tearful reconciliation. But we had a beginning. 6 months later I bought a beautiful home in Paradise Valley. Not to impress anyone. But because I finally felt ready to step into the life I had built. My family was invited to the housewarming party. They came. Marcus apologized. It took him 6 months, but he said the words, I was wrong about you. Vanessa brought wine and admitted, I was jealous. I still am. My mother hugged me and whispered, your grandmother would be so proud. My father gave me a small wrapped box. Inside was Grandma Rosa's wedding ring. She left specific instructions, he said. This goes to the grandchild who understands what she built. I slipped it on my finger. It fit perfectly. That night after everyone left I stood on my patio looking out at the city lights. My phone buzzed with a text from Sandra. Property number 12 just closed. Portfolio value now $4.9 million. Annual income $294,000. I smiled and looked up at the stars. I learned from the best, I whispered. Not just about real estate. About patience. About strategy. About knowing your worth even when nobody else sees it. About the quiet, powerful satisfaction of building an empire while everyone thinks you're a failure. I wasn't the family failure. I was the family fortune. And I had been all along.